Maurice Nicol's Psychological Commentaries, Volume 3, based on Nicol's work with Gurdjieff, Ospensky, and Young. Great Amwell House, February 14th, 1948. Commentary on Habits, Work Idea. The work says we must think in a new way to begin to change ourselves. The work teaches that after a certain age, we are nothing but a mass of acquired habits in every center. Habits in thinking center, habits in emotional center, habits in sex center, habits in moving center, and habits in instinctive center. All these habits keep us asleep because the centers cannot work. So we pass our existences not as we like, but as these habits dictate, and wonder why our lives are not what we expected. We do not even realize they are habits. We are these habits without seeing or knowing that this is the case. At the same time, everyone is quite sure that they could easily change if they wish to. This form of imagination assists, like all other forms of imagination, in keeping us asleep. Now, if our centers were not overlaid by these habits, we would hear what they say to us about every occasion. But as we are, centers do not speak to us. Here's a commentary. The above was said originally in connection with the necessity of studying the construction of ourselves. We have to learn something about the machinery, in this case, our habits. But, of course, we do not believe we have a machinery. People usually think that habits only refer to minorly bodily habits. They do not understand that their intellectual center, what they think by, is fully mechanical habits, and that their feelings, emotions, which belong to emotional center, are also mechanical habits of feeling, habits of emotion. In other words, the intellectual center and emotional center are not awake, but overspread by habits. Let us take the intellectual center. Most people do not think, but they have opinions that they have heard. These opinions can become habitual, that is, habits of the mind. Now, if a man, a woman begins to awaken a little, and sees the necessity of thinking for themselves, they will find that there are so many acquired and borrowed opinions and traditions filling their thinking center that they have absolutely no idea how to begin to think. And of course, for the purpose of nature, which man asleep serves the world over, it is contrary to nature's interest that anyone should really think. I suppose that if an animal began to think, say a horse, or a lot of trouble would start, quite apart from the trouble that I've always had in connection with horses. But just consider if animals could really think. And also conceive if we all could really think for ourselves instead of following opinions, slogans, prejudices, traditions, catchphrases, and even the last thing we read. Why, if we all could really think for ourselves purely, we could live in a new world. But as we are, we think from acquired opinions, borrowed ideas, from what we have been taught is right, and so on, according to our upbringing, our class, our education, our inner hatreds, jealousies, and revenges. Now, as Gurdjieff said once, quote, such a man does not think, it thinks, not he himself, and so he lives and dies without ever having thought, end quote. In another connection, he said, quote, we must try to awaken the intellectual center, first of all. That is, it is necessary to begin to think for oneself. This work is to make a man, a woman think, and to think in quite a new way, end quote. And on many occasions, Ospensky said in so many words, quote, why ask me always what? Say, is exactly the difference between self-observation and self-remembering? It is not for me to explain. You must see for yourselves. Try to observe. Try to remember yourselves. You must begin to think for yourselves. This work is to make you think. Think what you are. Think what you want. Think indeed what you exist, why you exist at all. Only by beginning to think can you change your life. Do you want your life to repeat itself just as it is? If so, do not, above all, even try to think. Just go on with your opinions. But then everything will recur just as it has happened already, and you will have to repeat your life exactly as before. End quote. Now, this interested me very much. I had up to then believed that to change anything in oneself, it was necessary to give up this or that or physical habit, such as smoking and so on. I had never realized that in order to change anything in oneself, one has to begin to think in a new way, and that unless there were some change in thinking, nothing else could be changed in oneself. That is, one had to start at the top in the mind before anything else could alter. So tonight, I'm going to try to show you what this means. Keep watching.